Isn't that good?
Got a little bite at the end, or a little spice at the
Yeah,
end.
no, my friend Dino was up yesterday from the city. He's a chef downtown, and he came up and he's like, we're screwing off the brunch menu, and he goes, have you ever made, I can't pronounce it, you write it down for me. And I go, what is that? I go, it sounds familiar, but I can't even say it. He goes, it's basically huevos rancheros, but Italian style. I go, well, go make some. 15 minutes later, he comes up
awesome.
and he's
That's
got
good.
breakfast. So it's easy, and it's something that like you can do, because it won't come like this. It'll come in a cassolette
Okay. Yeah.
with some potatoes, and that way you can get it. That will be gluten-free because the bread will be on the side.
So you'll do brunch. That'll be a brunch.
Yeah, so we'll do that at brunch. We've got a little deviation from the menu. Breakfast pizzas, but also some more traditional egg stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. Welcome to the Craftsman Cafe interview series. I'm here with John Durning, who is the man behind the concept of Pizzeria DeVille in downtown Libertyville. And the objective of these interviews is really just to learn a little bit about the craftsmen behind the concept, get to know entrepreneurs, musicians, artists, business owners, and pick their brain a little bit, peel the onion, hear their story, and I think it'll be a lot of fun. So let's just jump right into it, John. Let's start at the beginning. Where did you grow up?
Grew up in Scarsdale, New York, which sits about 15 miles out of New York, downtown New York City.
Yankee fan?
Huge.
Really?
13 miles from my driveway to parking lot D at Yankee Stadium.
But who's counting?
Yeah,
So,
no, we knew that one well.
So the whole Jeter thing, what'd you think?
My kids will tell you I was a total basket case during all of that, to the point where I was watching the final game at Yankee Stadium in my bed at home early morning, and my daughter walked in and says, "Dad, are you crying?" And I was, because it was 20 years of I love baseball, I love the Yankees, and like the guy just, he said something in an interview that day, I think it was from the Today Show, where they said, "You've always comported yourself in such a professional manner. Like, what drove that?" And he said, "I never wanted to embarrass my parents."
Wow.
And I'm about to cry again, because like if there's one thing I sort of try to impart on my kids, it's that message. You get one name in this life and wear it well. And so to me that was,
Amen, man. That's good.
still gets me. So anyway, great career.
That's
Great career.
Yeah, he was awesome. He overshadowed Connor1 a little bit. I'm a White Sox fan, so
But another guy
Yeah,
who
great character.
lived his life the exact same way in his professional life. Absolutely.
Yep.
So you would have looked good in Yankee pinstripes.
No way, man. No way. What did your parents do as professionals?
My dad was an entrepreneur. He started in the insurance business up in New York, and they were both originally from New Orleans, and he was the one branch that moved up north to sort of try to make his mark. And he had a successful career in insurance, and then some pension plans, and then got into a number of different businesses. He's still alive and living in the Northeast with a number of my siblings. And my mom stayed home and raised a very large family. I'm the ninth of 10. She passed away when I was 9. And my dad remarried a few years later, but she was there in the beginning for sure.
Wow, gosh. So you graduated from high school in New York?
Yep.
And then you went off to college?
I went to college at Lake Forest College. And that's
Really? What took you to Lake Forest College?
You know, I didn't want to go to school in the Northeast because that's where a lot of my friends had gone. And I had been accepted as a late decision to Tulane down in New Orleans, and a very close friend of mine from high school was also going there. And I said, the idea of going to where all my family lives and where one of my best friends is going to school probably wasn't the best idea. So on a whim, I decided I'm going to go to Lake Forest College instead.
Wow, it's a long way from New Orleans, man.
Yeah, no, and it worked out great. I met my wife there.
Oh, that's great.
And so, yeah, it was great. Lots of great friends.
So you've been here ever since?
Yes. Well, I moved around. I started out in Chicago, moved around in the restaurant business primarily for a number of years, and then made it back about 15 years ago.
Okay, so you had a long run in banking.
Yeah.
And tell me a little bit about that and
Yeah, it's the Jekyll and Hyde of me. So like I started out in commercial real estate as an analyst right out of college here in Chicago, moved to New York doing the same thing, and that was for about 4 or 5 years. and I got invited to join some family friends from New York who were starting a restaurant chain, and they were sort of a big name in the New York restaurant scene, and it sounded like a lot of fun to me. I was 28 at the time, engaged to be married, so it sounded like a nice adventure. So we went and we opened 5 restaurants in Columbus in Florida with this group called Santa Fe Steakhouse. Learned a lot. It was a tremendous experience for me. The chain itself didn't end up doing very well. The drivers of the concept were picking locations that ended up not being the right spot.
Okay.
We'll leave it at that. But for me, I ended up falling in love with the business, and as a result, I went and pursued some other opportunities to try to learn more about food and different types of food. So I went up to the Northeast, and I ran a wood-fired pizzeria up there called Bertucci's, a big 240-seat place in West Hartford, Connecticut.
Wow.
And then I went to New England and ran a seafood house in Essex, Mass, up on Cape Ann. Beautiful, the freshest seafood you can get. Went to Vermont and opened up a wood-fired pizza concept there.
Were you married at the time?
I was, and so my wife, who's like the long-suffering Susie Durning, just tremendously stood by my side and went and did this, and
That's awesome.
managed to find good jobs wherever we went. And
What does she do?
now she works for the Village of Libertyville in the finance department.
Oh,
So
wow, okay.
we work 150 yards apart and live about a quarter of a mile from our house, so it's great.
So the restaurant business, and then you jumped into the banking world?
Yep, and so when I'm in the restaurant business, and I was now in corporate food service and had been transferred out here to run a group of accounts, I came out, and some guys I had worked with right out of college were very busy, and I was looking to make a change. My children were young, 5 and under at the time, and I knew I wanted to do Indian guides, and I wanted to coach teams and that sort of thing. And the restaurant business is great, but it's not conducive to that. So I jumped back into commercial real estate, working for a great guy named Ben Kadish, and he kind of got me back into the business for the next 3.5 years, at which point I went out on my own and worked at Harris Bank briefly, but then had a 10-year run at Wintrust, running a commercial mortgage banking platform for them while also doing some lending for the bank.
Wow. So early on, you had the restaurant bug, and it just wouldn't leave you?
It never left me. I always loved food ever since I was a little kid. I have 6 older brothers, and the 2 above me were the recipients of many burgers and sandwiches.
Any of them in the restaurant biz?
No. My dad was. He was a financial partner in a restaurant and in a hotel, and I worked at both of those places. And I just, what I equate it to is I've done a lot of theater growing up, and even
Theater?
Theater.
Okay.
Even more recently, community theater. And being in the restaurant business, I got to credit my brother Dave with this, because he made the analogy. It's kind of like putting on a new show every night. It's a new audience. It's a new set of dynamics every night. You don't know how the kitchen's going to perform. So it's one of these things where you have a little bit of the no net below me atmosphere, and I love that.
Yeah.
And
That's awesome.
Yeah. So you get that every night. And
So in the restaurant community, I've read some great books by Danny Meyer, Richard Melman, and all the kind of all stars, I think, of building restaurants. Anybody that you're influenced by, or that you were inspired by, or mentored by?
Yeah, I worked with a lot of great guys, but in putting this project together, I always had a sense of what I wanted this to be, and the food I wanted to be, and the people who've been inspirational to me are the guys who it's not just the great cooks who do this, but it's the guys who took me in and said, I'll teach you how to do this. John Adler from Franny's in New York, and the guys at Pizzeria DeVille who let me come into their kitchens and work. Motorino in New York let me come in and make dough and make pizzas, and it's just such an open atmosphere. Plenty of people around Chicago have been kind in showing me their operations. The guys at Coal Fire in Chicago sort of walked us through everything, took us behind the line, and it's a very open, giving community. So that's been great. And the other people who have kind of become my heroes, because I had forgotten about this group of people, are the guys who cook. The guys who everyone takes for granted, but who sit back there and come in and work 2 jobs and do it with a smile and are reliable. And there's a lot of people in white collar America who forget about that. And I have a huge admiration for those guys.
That's great, John. That's great. What started? The restaurant business is a tough business.
Hugely.
So, what started the passion around pizza, wood-fired pizza? Has that always been sort of the number one thing, or do you have a a favorite, like, you know, I really like Thai food.
Well, I love
food.
everything, but
Okay.
pizza was the one that, like, as a kid, I'd go to this place, Vinny's, in Scarsdale, New York. Anyone from Scarsdale, I could. When I said I was doing this and brought up Vinny's in a clip, I got all these people on Facebook sending me notes who grew up with in the same town and saying, I remember Vinny's for this. And it's not there anymore, but it's a place that was where the community went to have pizza and, you know, sit as a family or as a team or as friends, and that part of it I loved. And I would sit there with my buddies and we would watch these guys toss pies all afternoon. And yeah, no, it was great. You know, have a slice and, you know, and then we'd go like throw rocks at trains, like do all the stupid stuff you're not supposed to. But then we go, let's go get another slice because they were 50 cents. So like, so you'd run up and grab another slice. So that's really what made me think this is the kind of place I want to do. The wood-fired element of it, the little more artisanal feel, is really because I think Libertyville demanded that. I think that for what was going to work in this town,
That makes sense to
it
me.
needed to be a little bit more upscale.
Okay, so I have a good friend of mine who's grew up in the Bronx, and we went out to Galena, Illinois, nice little vacation spot, little cute downtown, and he's a great guy, but he's got that New York edge to him. That's part of what I love about him the most. And we were walking all over the block and a half of Galena, and he was looking for a slice of pie. And he uses sort of different language than I use.
That's the
and
jargon.
we went into this place and they didn't have a slice. And on the sign it said, you know, slice of pizza or something. And he got angry. He said, in New York you can go get a slice of pie anywhere, you know, and they show a slice of pie on the thing, and it was crazy. It was a crazy experience. But are you going to do slices here at all? Or
We're not looking to initially.
No? Okay.
I will say,
I just had to ask.
First of all, when he walked in the place, he should have known he shouldn't order a slice. It wasn't going to be what he wanted.
Yeah.
But with that said, we actually toyed with the idea, because you can do pies that work well for slices in that oven, but we were going to do it late at night when people are going between the bars.
Yeah.
But then we sort of looked out at who was going between the bars and sort of what their behavior was, and we said,
Nah.
we don't want that.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
really do want it to be a little more friendly to couples and people who just want to come in and relax and enjoy themselves, and we don't really necessarily need it to be a beer hall.
Yeah, I can't see like one of those little spinning things in this joint.